Okay, I had this friend in Paris. We talk all the time. We talk about our worlds all the time. And I thought maybe I should bring him to see a little snippet of my world on a bicycle ride. You're all welcome to join in and enjoy the ride, but this is for my friend Keo in Paris. This is my little piece of the world. This is Momence, Illinois, where I live. Just left my driveway. We're heading down my street. As you can see, Key, it's a really pretty little town, isn't it? And as I start my bike ride, I noticed a mechanical issue. So I decided I better stop and fix that before I go on much farther. And that building right there, fixing that mechanical issue, is the city library. My mother and father were on the library board for years. My mom was the library board president. And that, as you can see, it was a block from my house. So I spent a lot of time just walking up to the library here. It was a beautiful day for a ride too, man. It was like 80 degrees Fahrenheit, just a little bit of a breeze. Just a wonderful day for a ride. This is one street over from my house. That's a little church there on the right. On the right, a little restaurant and a Chinese restaurant. And on the left is the post office. This is the downtown area of my town. And the first noticeable thing you're going to see after I traverse this bump are tables on the sidewalk. That's a little wine place called Off the Vine, and you can sit out there on a nice day and have a drink and just enjoy the day. It's a really pretty little place. I think you would appreciate it a lot. And like I said, their specialty is wine, so if you come, I'll make sure they stock up on the rosé. These buildings, at one point in time, Momence was a bustling downtown area. And these buildings had storefronts, retail storefronts on the ground. The second floors were all doctors and lawyers and beauty offices, and the basements were used for different things. This is the main drag in my little town. This is Dixie Highway, Illinois Route 1, the oldest highway in Illinois. And here on the right, a little farmer's market. Local farmers bring their goods to sell directly to the public. And there's sometimes arts and crafts and homemade candles and stuff, and it's a pretty nice little thing. Now this is 2nd Street in my town. As you can see, it's a typical American Midwestern town. A little bit of traffic, nothing to worry about. On the right, the big building you see on the right, used to be where nuns lived when the convent was open in town. There used to be an all-girls convent in town on the property you see to the right. That's a big open field now. They just tore that building down recently. And across the street on your left is the Catholic church that I used to go to. It's St. Pat's Catholic Church in Momence. It was a little windy that day, so I was trying to keep the bike steady and keep moving at a decent pace. I didn't have my bike computer running that day. I'm guessing I was doing maybe 5-6 miles an hour. I wasn't really pushing it too hard here. As you can see from the sign key, we're coming up on a school zone. In my town, all the schools are in one section of town. They're next to each other. That makes it pretty easy for parents and children to find the schools and to get there safely and get home safely, and we're not worried about anything bad happening to them because they're all in one area. It was such a nice day for a bike ride too, man. I think the video turned out pretty well. Kind of happy with it. Building on the left you see is they call it a junior high. It's more like a middle school. Between elementary and high school. I just noticed a bug flew past me. We're not going to go all the way down, but we'll get down a little ways so you can see it. That building on the right is a private Christian school. Now you can just see clear in the trees and the bushes a big building on the left there. That is the elementary school. I think they go through 6th grade in that building. But you can see it there on the left. It was built in the 70s. I was one of the first classes to go to school in that building. We're going to turn around here now that I got chime. More school signs. Slow down, Keo. I know how you drive, you crazy Frenchman with your crazy driving. On the right, you'll see a structure. That is a war memorial for the people who are from town who died serving the military. More junior high school, different angle. We kind of got lucky on this ride today here, not just with the weather, but you'll see in a second. Because I just saw the gates were open on the way past, so I figured we'll go through the gates. That's the high school sports field there on the right, and the left is the high school softball field. That is the high school. That building was built in the 1930s by FDR after the Depression, the Put America to Work plan. They built a lot of buildings, high schools and what have you. So that building is close to 100 years old now, and they're still using it. That's where the high school kids go. I want to say 10, 11, and 12th grade. I think the 9th graders go to the junior high still, but I'm not 100% certain about that. Of course, this is the back of the school because we're going through the football field and all that, so. More of the high school there. We have about 4 blocks to go. And then we're going to get to another little piece of town that I really like. I really like. My town propped up because of 2 things. The river that it's right next to, and the fact that the railroad passed through it. And being a farming community, they used to rely on both of those resources. So the town grew up around them. The railroad, so they could get train grain from Moments to other places, and they could sell it, and the grain industry it still is a really big part of my town's financial structure, but also because of the Kankakee River. Kankakee River is one of the cleanest rivers in North America. You're going to see in a bit, it's a pretty little river. I didn't want to talk the whole time. I want you to be able to enjoy the ride, look around. On the left there is the fire department. That's that big building with all the cars. That's the local fire department. It's a volunteer fire department. Nobody gets paid, nobody full-time. Well, they get paid, but not a full-time job. Directly ahead of us is the Moments Police Department, and if you look really closely, you'll see an officer sitting in his black car checking out his phone. And right there is the Moments River. You see the dam where the water's falling over it? At one point in time, before we had electricity, we kept our food cold in ice boxes. You probably remember an ice box. They put the dam up to slow the river so they could harvest the ice from that section of the water. It slowed down the flow to make it more even and froze faster, and so they could harvest ice 2 or 3 times a winter. And then they would sell that ice to big companies up in Chicago. Here's that police officer we just passed, sitting in his car. You can tell it's a nice day. He's got both windows down. A little bit of traffic here on Dixie Highway today. Had to wait a minute. Wasn't happy about it, but what are you going to do? More of the downtown area you can see there, off to the left. It's basically a 4-block section of what is considered downtown. And here is another section of the river. I should have stopped and taken the camera off and panned around a little bit, let you see it, because it's a really nice little river, man. It's a really pretty little river. But there's 2 bridges. We're going to cross one here. And there's another one directly ahead of us. We're not going to cross that. That's the south section of town. It looks just like the north section. There's really nothing remarkable about one or the other. But here is, we call it the island, or the island park. When the railroad needed to cross the Kankakee River, they bought this park from back then the federal government. We're talking over 100 years ago now. And they built bridges to get to and from the island for the railroad to cross over. Before the railroad bought it, the town used to have weekend excursions. You'd get a canoe or a barge, and you would paddle across to the Kankakee River, and you would paddle across to this little island. Some of these little homes you see were cottages at one point in time for the well-being, or not the well-being, the wealthy in town. Since then, they've become year-round living places, but at one point in time, these were just seasonal homes. And this is the Momence Island. Now, you heard me say Island Park a second ago, and we're coming up on why. After the railroad built the bridges, they donated the land to the city with the understanding that it would always be a park for the city residents. The city could not sell it or utilize it for anything but a recreational park. And this is the entrance to the Momence Island Park. There's a little gazebo out here we're going to go visit so you can see around a little. And that's the river I've been talking about. And there's one of the bridges I was telling you about the railroad built. And you can see on the right-hand side, you can see a grain elevator for when they harvest the grain. They use these elevators to get them up on top of the silos, and then they dump them into special grain cars the railroad uses. I got yelled at I wasn't supposed to have my bicycle on the gazebo. Oops. But this is the Momence Island Park. Momence, Momence Island Park. As you can see, it's a great little place. I come down here a lot because I find it very relaxing, you know. You can kind of see a better shot of the railroad bridge there on the right. There's another bridge off to the left, but it's behind the building we see on the left. And I thought, when we were riding, I thought, well, let me go over, maybe we can get on the other side of the park. There's a whole other side of the park that sometimes they don't open up to the public. It's for big park functions, you know. But the gates were open. Sadly, as I made this turn and started heading down the little incline there, I saw that there's standing water under this little bridge. That's a bad thing. Standing water under that bridge, they've always had trouble with sewage backing up there. I'm not going to ride my bike through that. Sorry, I would have liked to have shown you the other side of the park, but I'm not going to ride my bike through sewage. We had a little rain this morning, so you see some puddles. Now, on the right, and I'm going to turn so you can get a better look at it here, is a little pavilion. They always have music on there. People sit up there to play music, and every weekend there's free music in the park for a couple of hours. Everything from Dixieland jazz to classic rock to some people doing original artists. You know, they come in and they perform their own stuff. They don't perform covers. Now we are going to cross another little bridge here. This bridge is a pedestrian bridge. Everybody's friendly here. Everybody waves at you. Being a pedestrian bridge, people in town call it a footbridge because no vehicles are supposed to be on there. They don't care about bicycles, which is great for me because I like riding my bike across this bridge. I tried to stop here in the middle of the bridge so you can see one of the other railroad bridges, and I didn't realize until I looked at the film later, the piece of wood is right where the railroad bridge is supposed to be. Thanks, wood. Everybody say thank you to the wood. And away we go. It's got a little bit of an arch to it so you can get a nice gravity ride down. Follow the sidewalk because my bike is not meant to be on the dirt. It's a road bike. Keogh, I could take you down every street in my town and they're going to look almost exactly like this. Nice big old homes, nice tree cover. It's a really pretty little town, man. I would like to show it to you one day, and I want to see yours. Little park here on the right. We call it the Walnut Street Park or the Kids Park because that's who usually hangs out there are young kids, which is fine with me because I live across the street, and I like seeing kids play there. I like hearing them play and laugh. It warms my heart to know that kids are having fun. Coming back down my street. Neighbor's cutting his grass. Turning into my driveway. And that's our ride. That's my town, Keogh. Part of it anyway. There's more, but it's all pretty much the same.